everybody's doing good. Sorry I missed you guys this morning when you came out to practice. It's it's a Monday, but really it's I think a Wednesday in game prep, so it's kind of a little bit more locked in there. But apologize I missed you. But just kind of wanted to start off just our condolences, and lost a really good man and a really good coach and a really good Pirate this past weekend in Harrell Robinson. And what Harrell meant not only to East Carolina football, but to high school football in East North Carolina. A native of Washington, Beaufort County, coached in Williamston and Martin County forever. And the influence he had on high school football in this region, and then also a true Pirate, and just our thoughts and prayers with him and his family as they go through this season of loss here. But just couldn't say enough good things about what he has meant to Pirate Nation over the years. Also, I want to talk about another Pirate, and Trey Savage. A big day for the Blue Jays yesterday, and for Trey, and excited for him. And we talked a little bit about Jaquan McMillan in practice today, and Trey's a perfect example of exactly what Jaquan is, just having an elite mindset and really preparing for the moment. And obviously he'd done that all season. When his moment came yesterday, he performed on the biggest stage there is, and just a shout out to him, and representing his team and also Pirate Nation in such a manner. And the bye week's a little bit unusual. We go back to think about Army, usually up here talking about the past game and what happened on Saturday. Now it's 11 days removed, and we had a chance to kind of do some recruiting during that time. I actually got out in Pitt County a little bit, was over at Conley High School and saw some pretty good football over there, and saw a couple of you guys over there as well, and then over at Rose High School and saw South Central there as well. So that was good to get out in the area and see some good football. And also while I was over at Rose, saw they honored the 50th anniversary of the first state championship team at Rose High School, and saw those guys out there, and just setting the foundation for Rose High School and the culture way back then and what's carried on and to today. So that was pretty cool, just to see a little football in the area. Going back to Army, just kind of reflecting on it a little bit. We're always looking out the windshield, not in the rear view, but it was a really good win. Good way to start off the conference, 1-0 against what you're seeing as an Army team that's probably, is 1-2 in the conference right now, maybe 2-2 after this weekend. And, they did some things that maybe they weren't used to last year, but I think that's a little credit to our guys and our players and the way they attack things. Offensively came out, started fast. First 3 drives, put up 7 points. Anthony and Caton connected down the field. Caton got in the end zone there, and then Anthony got in the end zone as well. And really, that's the way you want to start, especially against an option team, is get the lead. Thought we converted well on 3rd down, got the rushing attack going late in the game, and then defensively, that's probably as good of a defensive performance as I've seen against an option team in a long time. So just really proud of those guys. And then special teams added a score right there at the end with Kyler Pearson. But as I tell our guys, you can take confidence from the beginning of the year, and I think if you look at the stats right now, we're doing a lot of things well, but we got to focus on the things we're not doing well and kind of get them up there. We can't take one play from the beginning of the year into this week versus Tulane. So our focus has been on Tulane. A lot of times in a bye week, you have a time to reflect and kind of look at yourself, which you did for a couple of days, but pretty quickly we got started on our preparation for Tulane. It'll be 14 days coming in this Thursday since we last played. A little less for them, I think 12, because they played on a Saturday, we played on a Thursday. They're a 4-1 football team. They've got a couple wins in the conference, or 1-0 in the conference. And I believe, and I might be wrong in this, Stephen, you can kind of correct me, we've won in New Orleans, but never at Yeoman Stadium. I believe that's correct. Summerall's doing a great job there. John Summerall, their head coach. I think he's like the 5th highest winning percentage coach in college football right now at 778. So last year they were, I think his conference record since he joined the Americans 11-2. Last year in 2024, they played for the American Conference Championship as well as Army. Offensively, they are a pro style, shift, motion, move around. They'll do a little bit of huddling. Offense, Joe Craddock has been his offensive coordinator at Tulane as well as at Troy. And then on the defensive side of the ball, defense coordinator Greg Gasparado, you'll see a similar style of defense to what you saw from Army. He is a Nate Woody disciple. Actually coached against him when we were in the Southern Conference. He was at Wofford, and I was at Citadel, so it'll be similar to there. And then special teams is one of their strong suits as well. I think they got a really good kicker, really good punter, and return guy, Omari Hayes, who was actually at FAU last year. Offensively, they're averaging 26 points a game, over 400 yards up a game. I think the bulk of that's coming on the ground, over 200 yards a game rushing. Jake Resloff is the quarterback, transfer from BYU, so we thought we'd see him, in the offseason at BYU a couple weeks ago, and some things happened there, and he ended up at Tulane. He's actually seventh nationally in rushing touchdowns with 7 touchdowns. So you think of quarterbacks, you think of the arms. He can certainly spin it, and very strong arm there, and does a good job putting in small windows, tight spaces. But where I really see him hurt teams, especially Duke, I think he had 4 rushing touchdowns alone in that game, is just on the ground. Whether it's scrambling or quarterback design run game, I think he's a competitor and does a really good job. I think, if you think about rushing teams, rushing offenses, you think about their O-line. I think the right guard, Shadre Hurst, a kid from Cartersville, starts with him. I think he's preseason All-American, does a really good job, got some really nice feet in there. And then center Jack Hollifield, who actually played for Coach Ware in high school, was at App State last year, so he's played in our stadium before. We played against them a couple times, is their center. So those are kind of the 2 guys that stand out to me, the O-line. The backfield is kind of a stable of guys. I think Turner, number 0, is kind of the guy that stood out to me early in the season. He's had some injuries throughout the season, missed some time, but he's got a little flash to him. Mobley is number 2. Mobley is the kid that transferred from FAU over to Tulane, an older kid. Barnes is their returning running back, number 20, and then a guy that's a freshman and put the ball in the end zone a couple times is number 23, Gordon. So all 4 of those kind of do it by committee and kind of a stable back there. The tight ends in this offense are very key as far as their 12 personnel, 11 personnel, 13 personnel, and they got 3 guys that get a lot of time in there with 82, Pescuzzi, who's a transfer from Iowa, Reed, 88, I believe he's from Noonan High School, and then the Miller kid, 85, who's from Duluth High School. All 3 play a lot. I think most of his passing touchdowns have been 2 tight ends. And then the receiver, I mentioned Omari Hayes in the return game. He's electric out there. I think they are really good short area quickness out wide. There's going to be some guys you don't see with a lot of length, but I think they make up for it in speed. So if you try to play them in some man, some one-on-ones type stuff, they make it challenging for you out there. So Bohannon's another guy out there, 83 and 5. Brown Stevens can play. The guy that has a little bit of length is number 7, Preston. But they'll use shift motions, movements. They'll play with some tempos, change that up on you, and then they'll obviously dial up some shots to throw the ball down the field, whether it's deep cell routes, scissor routes, or just some cross-country routes there as well. Defensively, I mentioned the same style as Army, but you'll see, I think, a little bit more aggressiveness in there from him. 29, Santana Hopper, I think, was Player of the Week last week. Last Monday, he's the transfer from App State, originally from Shelby. Their field end, number 6, Cameron Hamilton, stands out to me, just kind of a guy that makes some plays, can give you a hard time up front, so you got to know where those guys are. I think the D-line overall is a group that has depth, plays with, physicality, quickness, all those things, but those are the guys that stand out. The nickel, I think he's already got 3 picks on the year. Javion White does a really good job, so you better know where he's at and make sure you put it in the receiver's hands and keep it away from him. The safety, 32, comes downhill and strike you, and then the kid from St. Pius, number 1, who's a transfer from Troy, Jack, is doing a really good job playing back there. So all in all, a solid football team. They do things that gives them a chance to win football games. They started off the season beating Northwestern, who was Northwestern was favored in that game, I believe, and then turn around the next week, go on the road, beat the South Alabama team in a tight ball game. Turn around the next week, play Duke, who they lost their quarterback to, Mensa, and Duke went down there and they got up on them 21-3 at the half, and then Resloff had another rushing touchdown, make it 28-9 or something in there, and played really well and got the win against them, and then obviously beat Tulsa on the road as well. So they're coming off a bye week. And have done some good things, and just really good football team, and looking forward to Thursday night playing down in New Orleans. And we talk to our players all the time. Obviously, we're going to respect our opponent, be prepared for our opponent, know exactly what they do. But our focus is still on us. Focus is about what we do, how we approach it, our mindset, and how we prepare for the football game. So that's kind of been our main mindset through the bye week. This time we'll go with any questions.
You mentioned the jump on Tulane, but just internally, what did you guys kind of focus on in specific areas?
Yeah, there was a couple things. I mean, one, obviously, you're going to get some younger guys, some looks, some younger guys, a few more reps. It's an opportunity for us to scrimmage those younger guys a little bit. So you're continuously throughout the season, you're always working on player development, but a little bit more focused on some younger guys, freshman development there as well. And then you look at key areas that, hey, maybe we view as a weakness as coaches. Fourth downs, red zone, big plays, third and extra, whatever it may be. Then you kind of, find ways to go attack that and set your practice up that. We got to do a better job of sequencing plays, I think. Some special things that I think we can clean up. So all those things we kind of go back, take a look at, and really make that the focus. We practiced last Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday of last week. And really Monday and Tuesday was more about us and looking inwards and kind of making sure we're prepared for the second half of the season here. You're 5 games in, so it gives you a good snapshot of where you're at and then also a good snapshot of where you can go to. So I think we did a good job of that. And then Thursday, we kind of jumped right into Tulane because we were 7 days out from the football game.
Coach, when we look at Brett Slaff, he's their leading rusher as well.
Yeah.
As a dual threat, what does he kind of present in that aspect of the offense as well?
Yeah, you see in the Duke game, I think on the first drive, he runs a little zone read in there, tucks it away. The defensive, they really don't honor him at all with the defensive end, and the linebacker should have had him. And he just kind of gets up the field and gains chunk yards. And then he finally gets in the end zone on the second one. So you got to do a great job of playing fundamental sound football because he's got all the +1 runs. He got to make you honor him. And then, if it's third and long and it's not there, he's going to tuck it and run. He doesn't put the ball in harm. That's the thing you notice about him. Like, he doesn't put it where somebody could pick it off or make a bad decision. If the throw's not there, if it's not open, and he's going to tuck it and run, and he can certainly chew up some yards in a hurry, and has done a good job of that.
Coach, in what ways do the bigger teams like NC State, BYU, in what ways do those prepare you for one of the better conference opponents you'll see?
Yeah, I think every game prepares you, for the next game. Those experiences, the things that come up in a game. We actually even took some games this weekend that we saw on TV and was talking about them yesterday morning and, before practice and our team meeting, just about how you can learn from those experiences. And certainly games in Raleigh or a BYU here can help prepare you for games like this and teams like this. It's a similar style in some ways to what maybe BYU did with the huddle, the shifts, the motions, the trades offensively, odd front. So there is some carryover. So you just take things that you learn from those ball games or throughout the season, the coastal game, whatever it may be, and build on it. So, and again, we can't make it about like, hey, make it a big game or make it a big, they're all big games. We got to kind of pull the thumb, look inwards, and make it about us.
Coach, you just said it, make it about us. When you look at that, as one of the themes have to be like, hey, you don't have to win it on this play. You don't have to make a play here.
Yeah.
Just play fire football and just keep it.
No question, Brian. That's absolutely what it is. Is like, hey, forget everything else and make it about us. And that's really like us is good enough, right? And there's a bunch of us out there, and you don't have to be the one that makes a play all the time. Count on your teammates, do your 111 and do your job. And if everybody does that, we'll play Pirate football and play it the right way. And I think, there's been times this year where maybe we thought we had to make a play and we made a mistake. And I think we can learn from those things moving forward, just like we talked about, that, hey, if I just do my 111th, do my job, and focus on that to the best of my ability, we'll be just fine.
Starting when you guys defended C.J. Bailey in the opener and continuing throughout the rest of the season,
Yeah.
you guys have done a very good job defending the quarterback run. What do you think your defense has done successful so far?
Being aware of it is probably the big thing. I think if you can stop the run, and obviously we need to early in the game this week, and if you can do those things and putting him in situations, third and long, he's not third and medium, third and short where you're guessing. And then the only quarterback run game he has is a scramble. You can be aware of that, put spies on him, and put guys that, can have an opportunity to make a tackle. You don't want to put a spy on him that's, not as athletic as he is, and he's pretty dang athletic and can run and move around. But we got to do a good job with that. I think C.J. Bailey's a perfect example of, hey, keep the guy in front of you, keep him in the pocket, make sure when we rush, we're under control and keep him in there. Even the BYU kid, he would probably rather take off than he would throw the football, although, in the last couple of weeks we've seen him throw the football really well. But all those kids have helped prepare you, for Jake and what some things he can do, and he may be the best we've seen so far.
Coach, this is a program that's been a staple now in the championship game for this conference, and what do you think is making them, so successful in that aspect?
Yeah, there's probably several aspects that we want to get into, but I think they've done a good job for the last several years. Coach Fritz was there, and I think Pratt and those things kind of lined up. Some defensively they had a run there. Some guys that's moved on to the NFL as well, and they still got those guys that play hard. And they got that mindset and that culture. And John Summerall's continued that, and he did that at Troy, and certainly does a great job coaching, and all the coaches do. So I think the fact that they continually go play the right way, go attack it the right way, and that's what we want to be. That's what we want to do with our football team is make sure our mindset's to play our tails off with great effort, great energy, and that you've seen them do that, and that's kind of why they've been able to win games. I think they're maybe first or second in the country on road games. I think they've won like 17 or 19 straight. They're 32-5 over the last couple of years, something wild in the American Conference. So just consistency. And I think I just saw a quote a little while ago about average teams, mediocre teams, even good teams not being consistent. But the great teams are consistent day in and day out through the process. And the process is being urgent about it, being intent about it, attention to detail. All those little things helps you be a great football team. That's certainly what they've done throughout the years.
Coach, from my understanding, you are doing like some activities on the road this year.
Yeah.
And so what kind of goes in that, like balancing that coaching with folks, but also experience kind of the venues, so to speak?
Yeah, there's no question. I look at it sometimes like we go on a flight and go to a stadium and then get right back on the flight and fly home. And it's like, well, somebody will ask you, well, did you see this or did you see that? Well, you don't even have an opportunity to see that because you're just thinking on the game. And I think it is our main focus, our main job is go win the football game. But I don't think, if you go to Myrtle Beach and you can take a walk on the beach and you enjoy the ocean and, what God's created, I think that's pretty special. How many times will our guys get back to Myrtle Beach and get an opportunity to do that? If we go to Temple, we're going to go run the Rocky Steps. We can go to San Antonio, we're going to go see the Riverwalk, maybe the Alamo, and then, this weekend we go to New Orleans. We're going to go see a cathedral, Cafe de Monde, I keep calling it, whatever they make there, and just experience a little bit. It's a way to stretch our legs out for 20, 30 minutes, but also at the same time, I think, how many opportunities are our young men ever going to have to go back to New Orleans? And it kind of relaxes them a little bit, at the same time, they'll be focused and ready for the game. I don't think it has one way or the other helping us get a defensive stop or an offensive score, but I don't think it hurts us either. So I think it's just a good opportunity to expose those young men to opportunities like that and relax them a little bit at the same time.
Any other questions for Coach? Right here. Got one more. Okay, two more.
Button that says on.
Just want to know, how's Xavier doing, and what do you think you can get from him?
Yeah, we got several guys. Even though you have a bye week, we got several guys we're monitoring right now just to kind of see where they're at and see if they're full go. It's just you got to make a decision. If you got guys banged up a little bit, if I play them, if they are to play, does it set them back? Or, if they do play, are they going to be 75%, 90%? Is their 90% or 75% better than the next guy? And I think one thing we've done a really good job of developing young men and developing our depth on both sides of the football, that we got other guys that are pretty dang good football players too. So, Xavier, and there's a couple more we kind of monitor and keep an eye on next 24 hours and decide like, hey, do they need to be on the trip and be on the plane with us? Because, if you're not out there and be full speed and 100% and flying around and helping us make plays, then maybe it is best that, hey, we pull back for a little bit. That way the following game you can, because you don't want to lose a guy for 2 games and you're trying to, one game he's only half speed or half go, and where you could have held him back and now you got him the rest of the season. So we got to make the best decision for that individual and our football team at the same time. Make sure we're doing, what's right for the individual and the football team to help us win games.
Coach, you guys were a lot better with penalties against Army. I think just 2 that night. On the road in a venue out of state, how important is that discipline to maintain?
Yeah, we're trying to what somebody call it, the Cancun fund the other day. They're cutting back on our Cancun fund, but I thought the guys did a better job at just being locked in. And like tomorrow's our 2 days before the game. I used to call it Focus Thursday, but our locked-in shirts, we wear those tomorrow, and did a better job throughout the game of doing that against Army. And that's key, not only this Thursday against Tulane in a conference game, but every single week. And you can watch football, on the the good thing about playing on Thursdays, and some have pros and cons to it, whatever, but one of the good things, you get the chance to watch everybody else play, and you can see how silly mistakes can lose you a football game. You can also see how being disciplined can win you a football game. And we watched, the end of a couple of games as a team yesterday, and it was the end of the UCLA game, Penn State game, and also the end of the Florida game, Texas game. And just there's a few things in there that hit a nerve there with somebody. There's a few things in there that, like, you got to be prepared for the moment. We do a lot of end-of-the-game situations, and you can see in those two games, I'm not sure those two teams, some of those teams were prepared, maybe they were, and just didn't do a great job executing, but being prepared for the moment. And we talk about, hey, the process and how the process, you got to attack it every single day, even though it may not come up every single Saturday. At some point, it's going to come up, and it's going to win you a ball game. So, all those little things, being attention to detail, being disciplined with penalties, all those are going to help us win a ball game, especially when you're playing a good football team like Tulane. So, thank you, guys.